What's good, guys? This is Unjolly Ranchers, diving into the shadows of life's untamed tales. Today's story is about the time I crashed my first car. First off though, I just wanted to say thanks for all the support and comments on the channel. You guys really motivate me to try my best with the daily uploads even when I'm working 6 days a week. And with that, let's get into it. Now, this story takes place back in 2016 when I was only 14 years old. That year, I would be taking driver's ed class. I already had a little red four-wheeler my dad got me for $100. His rule was, if you could pull start it, you could ride it, and it slowly just became mine. Now, with that context, I can really explain. My dad's a hustler, always buying cars and other things for super cheap because he knows how to talk people down. It's honestly mind-blowing, and father like son, that's the kind of shit I do nowadays. Anyways, with my dad knowing I was gonna have my driving permit soon, he went over to the neighbors and asked them about that late 90s Jeep Cherokee that had been sitting for a while. It was a beautiful gasoline green color. He ended up seeing what the guy wanted for it and then talked him down and traded 2 snowmobiles he got for a great deal and parked the car in the shop he built. Later that day, I went outside to see what my pops was up to and saw a new vehicle. I remember asking him, another one, eh? What'd you get this one for? 20 bucks and some beers? He then told me he traded the snowmobiles, and honestly I was pretty sad. I love riding with him on those things, but he saw the sadness in my eyes and told me, "Why so blue? I got this car for you after all." I looked up, eyes wide, and yelled, "Really? No way, you're kidding." I then ran over and gave him a great big hug. I started looking over it and helped him work on it a bit. Now, fast forward to the day I started driver's ed. There sat my outcast ass among the schoolmates who were always bullying me. My teacher, Mr. Stoner, up front giving the introduction. "Welcome, future drivers. I'm excited to be here teaching you all the ways of the road." He then asked the class how he thought everyone would do. The first words out of this rich daddy's money having girl, "Unjolly Ranchers is gonna crash. Don't let him drive." Now guys, I was pissed. I mean, I've been driving since I was like 3 years old. I had a little electric Walmart Hummer, and that four-wheeler I'd been driving since I was 12. So I just said nothing and stared at her with a dead look in my eyes. But Mr. Stoner really liked me and said, that's funny. If anything, I feel like he'll be one of the best drivers in the class." I then nodded my head with respect and gave that snobby girl a little smirk. We'll just call her Kelly for story's sake. So I did terrible in all my classes in school. I was bullied a lot and felt like it was just a complete waste of my time. So I just do the bare minimum to get by. But I passed every test in this class with a score of 100%. I mean, it was something I actually enjoyed, so my ADHD didn't have trouble keeping up. Now, after we finished all the schoolwork for the class, it was finally driving time. So all the kids were put into groups of 3. My group was me, another boy named Bryce, and Kelly herself. It seriously felt like that scene from Naruto when they put the worst student with the best student. So the day was finally here, and as we were all walking out to the car, I asked my teacher, "So, do you think I can go first?" Mr. Stoner said, "No, I think we should let Kelly go first." And now I understand why he did it that way. So us 2 boys got in the back seat, and Kelly sat up front. The driver's ed car was an automatic Subaru Forester if memory serves right. It didn't have 2 steering wheels, but the passenger seat did have an extra brake pedal for emergencies, thank God. Kelly then put her seatbelt on and tried starting the car, but nothing happened. Mr. Stoner then said, "You have to push in the brake pedal to start it." And there I was in the back seat face palming, shaking my head and thinking, yeah, I'm gonna crash. At this point, I was afraid for my life with her behind the wheel. So Kelly put it in drive and pushes the gas in, but she floored it. And my teacher had to slam on the brakes and said, "No, ease into it slowly." So she tried again, and the car was jerking back and forth like a teen trying to learn stick shift. Now I understood why it was an automatic. So as we got to the end of the parking lot, Kelly was told to make a left on this 90-degree turn. Now I can't make this up. She seriously turned the wheel like 3 inches, then gave it more gas. We ended up going off the road and almost ran into a sign. The worst part is, we almost went off the edge of a hill. Luckily, Mr. Stoner stepped on the brake and saved all of our lives. Now, I was super annoyed and fed up with Kelly. She was always talking crap to me in school, so I said, "Dude, what is wrong with you? And you really said I'd be the one to crash? Yeah, you're funny." Mr. Stoner, trying to hold back a smile, turned around, looked at me and shook his head. "No." But I knew he was just trying to be kind to Kelly. Anyways, after 5 long minutes of trying to loop around this tiny parking lot, it was finally my turn. So I hopped in and said, I won't lie, I'm excited to drive, but I'm pretty disappointed the car isn't a manual. This just feels too easy. Mr. Stoner laughed and said, "Yeah, I'm sure you see why we can't do that now, though." I laughed and took my turn. I drove beautifully like I'd done it a million times. I mean, I had, just not in a car yet, so it only took like 30 seconds to make it around the parking lot. So I asked him, "Hey, do you mind if I actually just go around the block real quick? Kelly took like 5 minutes. It only seems fair." To my surprise, he actually said, "Yeah, you're doing great. Let's see what you can do." Meanwhile, Kelly's in the back seat with her ego destroyed, looking super angry. So I took us around the block, did clean stops, used proper signals, looking both ways multiple times as I'd turn out. We got back and Mr. Stoner said, "Wow, Z, you're a natural. Seems like you don't even need the class. Let me just give you your permit now." Excited, I yelled, wait, really?" "No, I wish I could, but you've got to finish the class." Then Bryce took his turn and did pretty great, honestly. Anyways, I finally had my permit after crushing that class, so I was driving as much as I could with my mom. Now comes the day that it all happened. So my dad was about to ride his motorcycle out to my uncle's house a couple miles out of town and said, "Hey, do you just want to drive your car out there and meet us?" Like, wait, really? You mean drive alone? He told me I'd do fine and it was okay. Super hype, I hopped in and started driving. But me being a little rascal driving alone for the first time, I decided to take the long way that was like 3 miles longer on the back road. So there I was, racing the paved back road, doing like 60 miles an hour, testing my limits. It was the most fun I had ever had in my life up to that point. That is when I knew cars were my life. But as I went to take the turn into the gravel, I slowed down to 35 miles an hour and whipped the steering wheel hard, drifting her to the right, then whipped her left around the next corner. The first drift was clean, the transfer was clean, but I overcorrected and doing 30 miles an hour rammed into a huge dirt wall. The airbag went off in my face and honestly it wasn't that bad, but there I was just thinking, "Oh shit, no, please be okay." I got out and ran to the front. It was smashed in and leaking coolant everywhere. Now, even though I was only 14 years old, I'd worked on cars before and understood how an engine worked, so I ran back inside and tried starting her. Just to my luck, she fired right up, so I put her in 4-wheel drive and backed out of the ditch. Flipped her into 2-wheel drive and raced the back roads as fast as I felt safe doing. I mean, I didn't want to crash again, but I was losing coolant at a quick rate and I knew I had to hurry. So I finally hit pavement and I just floored it. Keep in mind, the Jeep was a 5-speed manual, so I just kept it in a really high gear so that I could keep my RPMs low so it wouldn't overheat too quickly. But maybe a mile away, my heat was over halfway and climbing quick. I ended up making it to my uncle's and it was red hot. I pulled into the side of my uncle and stepmom with wide eyes. My stepmom asking me what happened, so I told her, "I lost control on the gravel road. Where's Dad?" She then told me, "He's looking for you because you took so long." At that moment, my dad pulled up, hopped off his bike, saw what happened, and he was furious, yelling, "What the hell did you do?" So I explained what happened and told him I felt terrible. I mean, I loved that Jeep. It was an accident and that I'd be fixing all the damage myself. He said, "Yeah, you better." So fast forward a couple weeks after selling a lot of my stuff, I gave my dad the money. Luckily, it was only the front grille, a headlight, and the radiator that needed fixed. So he went to the junkyard and brought me some new used parts. The grille was dark blue, but I really didn't care. So I got to work. The A-body was actually squished in a couple of inches against the radiator, keeping me from pulling it out. So I took my four-wheeler, attached a chain to the back of it, and then to the car, and frickin' gassed it. That's how I pulled the dent out and straightened the body. I then replaced all the parts, filled the coolant back up, and started her. My dad then heard the car running, came out and listened to the engine to see if it had been heat damaged. Thankfully, she sounded great because, you know, old Jeeps were built tough back then. He then gave me a fist bump and said, "Good job, dude. Don't do that again." Now, this video isn't my most crazy, but it's a great one in my books, and unlike most of my stories, this one is sure to be monetized someday. I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. How did you guys enjoy this story compared to my others? Anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you guys have ever crashed a car before, I'd love to hear about it down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more crazy life stories. Stay tuned for more on Jolly Tales. Until next time, peace.